Hello everyone, welcome to Sabancı University's Graduate School of Engineering and Natural Sciences Graduate Programs webinar. This is Aysu Ruşen, a senior PhD student and research assistant in Materials Science and Nano Engineering program. I will be the moderator of today's webinar. We are going to talk about master and PhD programs. Thank you for joining our webinar. First, we are going to go over our webinar rules. So, all attendees will automatically be muted. You will not be utilizing the raise hand or chat box features during this presentation. 30 minutes session will be realized at the end of the session to answer questions. To open the chat box, you should be clicking on chat icon from your screen, and please ask all content-related questions through chat box. And very importantly, this webinar will be recorded. Thank you for your attendance. So, first of all, I would like to introduce Professor Canan Atılgan, who is the Dean and the Director of Graduate School of Engineering and Natural Sciences.
I welcome you all to our Graduate School of Engineering and Natural Sciences webinar. As Aysu just introduced, I am the Dean of Faculty of Engineering and Natural Sciences and the Director of the Graduate School of Engineering and Natural Sciences. It's my pleasure to be hosted by Aysu. I've known her since probably the week she came to Sabancı University as a graduate student, and she was so part of so many things, and it's my honor and privilege that she's hosting for me this event. Okay, so just a general idea about what we do here at Sabancı University. So we have more than 100 full-time faculty members, about 2,400 undergraduate students in our faculty, not the university, and more than 600 graduate students, again, in our institute. So we have more than 100 projects, that's not 10, that's a typo there. And we have come to the level of more than 300 publications per year in our faculty. We do research in 77 labs inside our faculty, plus the research centers that I will talk to you about later on. We have more than 7,000 alumni, and 1,500 of them are masters and nearly 300 of them are PhD students. We support our research with 11 lab staff, as well as having nearly 60 staff members in total, supporting all levels of our education and research. Well, of course, I would like to just name our graduate programs. You will have a chance to talk to the representatives of each of them later on today. But the first group of programs award degrees both in Master of Science and PhD degrees, Computer Science and Engineering, Cybersecurity, Electronics Engineering, Mechatronics Engineering, Industrial Engineering, Manufacturing Engineering, Molecular Biology, Genetics and Bioengineering, Mathematics, Material Science and Nanoengineering, and Physics. We have two other programs which grant Master of Science degrees only. These are Data Science and Energy Technology and Management programs. And I would like to mention that we have two dual PhD programs which have both been approved by YÖK. The first one with Nanyang, Taiwan University, National Chiao Tung University in Electronics Engineering. And the second one, YÖK approved but not on the shelf yet, is the Material Science and Nano Engineering programs, the dual degree program with Josef Stefan Institute in Slovenia. In these dual degree programs, you attend courses on both sides, you complete requirements from both institutions, you do research half and half in both institutions, and you get two PhD diplomas at the end of the day. Our faculty members later on will talk in more detail about these dual degree programs, or they will be able to answer questions if you have any on them. Now about our student numbers. So the dark blue is PhD students, and the greenish color is the master students we have enrolled. So you can see that different programs have different proportion of master and PhD students. Our largest PhD program is in material science and nanoengineering. And the molecular biology, genetics and bioengineering, electronics engineering, computer science and engineering, and mechatronics, these all have large PhD programs. The last 4 programs that you see at the bottom are non-thesis master's programs, which is out of the scope of today's webinar. I would also like to point out that you see less number of programs here than I mentioned earlier, because our data science program just started accepting students this year. So our first students will be coming from, hopefully, amongst you guys. So student numbers, again, in terms of the graduate student alumni, we have 32 alumni just last year in PhD, and more than nearly 140 master students in alumni, again, in the as of February 2020. So one of the questions we do get is, we do have, what are your job prospects, especially in academia? So here you see a selection, a subgroup of our graduates from master's or PhD programs who have gone on to academic jobs eventually in different places. These are our PhD graduates have landed jobs in, for example, Carnegie Mellon University, MIT. For our master's students, Canan Dağdeviren, for example. Our international students have gone back, one of them, for example, is here to obtain jobs back in their home country. Royal College of Art, PhD graduate, Elif went to Royal College of Art as a faculty member. And we have one of our master's students who eventually became a professor with us, Meltem İntaş. I want to mention her here as well. So our graduates do go to different prominent universities all around the world. So coming back to the slide, we talked about having more than 100 full-time faculty members. What do they do in terms of research, since graduate program basically entails doing a lot of research? Well, we like to measure our research in terms of research output mainly. So here you see on the left side, you see the different fields that have been, our publications from just last year have appeared. For example, 40 of them in material science and multidisciplinary areas, 36 of them in electrical and electronic engineering, and so on. Now, the SNP factor measures the quality of research published in the different journals. So we're trying to increase our publications in those journals which have larger SNP factors. You see a comparison of those. So we're pushing towards more and more visible venues publications in our faculty. On the right side, you also see our collaborations with different places in the world, USA mainly, England, Germany, etc. And in terms of active projects, as of this data is valid as of March, beginning of March. So we have a total of 148 projects at that time, with nearly 100 million Turkish lira project budget. Mainly the budgets come from TÜBİTAK projects, but also businesses, EU sources, and NGOs. Of course, it's our 20th year of research at Sabancı University. This year we're celebrating 20 years of Sabancı University. And when we do look back on how we have done, on the left upper side, you see how our publication pace has increased almost exponentially over time. Of course, this is cut, the curve is for the number of publications, and the H index of our faculty is 100. So that was 99 2 months ago, now it's 100. So we have 100 papers which have received more than 100, at least 100 citations over the years. This also, of course, came with an increase in project budgets. On the lower left, you see a curve of what happened to our project budgets in terms of US dollars over the years. So the green one is divergence. That's where we started our two first research centers, Sunum, Nanotechnology Research and Application Center, and Sunum is a spin-off, as you might wish to say, maybe, of our faculty. So we were not fitting into, our faculty was too small for our research, so we had a spin-off a research center in nanotechnology, which we call Sunum, and you see the picture over there. So that's when you see the divergence starting in 2013, the additional project budgets. And then several years back, we also had another research center, Integrated Manufacturing Research and Application Center, IMC, which is, this building is not on campus, but it is actually in the Technopark near, Istanbul Technopark near the airport, Sabiha Gökçen Airport. It's like 10 minutes drive from our main campus. So they added to our research budget by that difference that you see with the green curve. We do have other centers of excellence. One of them is EFSUN, the Functional Surfaces and Interfaces Center of Excellence, and the other one is for Data Analytics, SEDA. These two they don't have their own buildings, but they are centers that have been formed by our faculty members and are expanding. So I'm talking about faculty members and their accomplishments. So we are used to getting awards. These are a bunch of awards from for our different faculty members just in 2019, last year. So Zehra Sers, who was also our former acting president for 1 year, received this award for science diplomacy from AAAS last year. Erdinç Öztürk solved MIT's 20-year-old cryptographic puzzle. Özgür Gürbüz and Ibrahim Pekin received the Erginkan Foundation, and we have our faculty members also went on to receive different awards given to young scientists in Turkey. As I said, our faculty members are awarded for their research efforts in every venue. I just want to touch upon our placement in university rankings, not as Sabancı University in general, but also rather what relates to our faculty. So Times Higher Education is the one that we look towards in more detail, because its metrics are more geared towards research output, which is, as a research university, what we aim to excel in. So in engineering and technology area, in electrical and electronics engineering area, and mechanical and aeronautical engineering area, these are three different categories. Sabancı University ranks in this 251 to 300 range, and there are two universities from Turkey that are in that range. In computer science, we're in the same range, and there's only a single university in that range, which is Sabancı University. So we're very proud of our rankings, but these have been increasing over the years, and we hope to be doing better in that. Now, I want to talk, of course, you're all excited to know about what we do in terms of financial aid and scholarships. So I want to first point out all graduate students, no matter what their nationality background, receive tuition waivers in Sabancı University. So there will be a tuition waiver for accepted students that will be in your pocket. Now, on top of it, for stipends, there will be several options. Our main stipends providing source is through projects, which typically range in the from 3,000 to 3,500 lira per month. Basically 3,000 for MS students, 3,500 lira per month for PhD students. Let me expand on that. If you have, I'm sure you have gone to this link that is listed there, and you went to the left-hand side picture, the page, web page over there. But if you were to click on research projects there, you will come to a page shown on the right-hand side for PhD projects and master's projects. And you see there are different faculties listed, and also our big, large research centers listed. And if you click on one of them, so I clicked and took a photo of the FENS, Faculty of Engineering and Natural Sciences PhD projects, you will see a list of projects and the supervisor of that project, and next to that actually the email of the professor is also listed. So you can in advance go and email the professors in whose projects you're interested in to find out about funding opportunities should you be accepted to Sabancı University. I'll talk more about how to be accepted in a moment. But let me move on. So apart from project scholarship, which I said, if you go to as I said, if you go to that link, you will see hundreds of different opportunities. We also provide full scholarships to a smaller percentage of our students based on excellence, not only excellence, but also our needs in a certain area. If we don't have as many projects as we like in that area, we might also provide full scholarships. These are a bit more limited in number, as I said, so master students will receive 2,500 lira per month. PhD students, until they pass the qualification exam, will receive 3,000 lira per month, and once they pass the qual exams, they will get 3,200 lira per month. Of course, we always gear our funding stipends with basically TÜBİTAK projects. So if there's an increase in TÜBİTAK project funding, we also adjust our scholarships accordingly. One note: if you are a TÜBİTAK BİDEF scholarship, that is, if you receive the BİDEF scholarship, then you will receive the stipend from TÜBİTAK, but Sabancı University will supplement your stipend with an additional 350 lira per month. And the current round of calls, the results have not been announced, but it will be, I think, in June. But the next round of calls will be open from 12th to 23rd of October of this year, and the results will be announced in March of next year. So if you start with a normal scholarship or stipend or project scholarship, but if you do receive TÜBİTAK BİDEF scholarship, you can switch to that eventually. Now, what are the fringe benefits we provide our students on top of the stipend? I would also like to talk a bit about those. So we provide on-campus housing to all our graduate students who requested, single rooms as much as is possible for PhD students and double rooms for master students. Now, we are also in the process of building new graduate student campus housing. There will not be a shortage of on-campus housing. But should you choose not to live on campus for whatever the reason, you will have, then you are eligible for receiving transportation support, which will be 750 lira starting from September. It used to be 500. Currently, it is 500 lira. It will be 750 if you opt out of this campus housing option. All students are provided with private health insurance. We do have conference travel grants internationally 4,000 lira, which you can receive up to twice during your studentship. And we provide notebook computer to all our graduate students. So if one question was asked about working in industry. So if you are working in industry, we require your employer to sign an affidavit of some sort saying that they allow you to come to campus at least one day, work day during the week, or 2 days, and depending on which one they sign, your scholarship tuition is adjusted accordingly. So if you have questions on that, additional questions, we can talk about that also separately later on during the Q&A. We also are very interested in the scholarly development of our students. So beyond the research that they do in the lab for a particular project or working with a professor, we realize that you are going to have some sort of academic prospects. So all our students have to take, it's a mandatory series of courses called Academic Practices and Development, where you will learn how to act in class in terms of teaching and how to kind of gauge a classroom environment. And it's kind of in 3 semesters you kind of advance in this topic. And then there's an additional course, again mandatory, for scientific and technical development. This is basically for academic communication, not just for paper writing, but also presentation and so on. So this is also mandatory for all our graduate students. Besides that, we also provide assistant training programs for students who are eager to do more. For example, we have a Master TA program for first-year science courses. Aisu, this is where I met Aisu. She's not my direct student, but she was a Master TA in a course that I teach for. I taught for first years for several years. So she went through this special program where she learns to kind of gauge a classroom and also manage a set of other teaching assistants. You can also offer your own research projects to undergraduate students. So professors do this a lot. We have something called PURE, Program for Undergraduate Research. And but our graduate students are also independently able to offer their own PURE project and do research with our undergraduates if they choose their projects. Now, I want to say a few words about application deadlines and requirements. We have an early application deadline, which is May 22, very soon coming up. And we have a normal application deadline in August, on August 18. For that, you need to start, for a complete application, and I realize that we're going through irregular times, so I'll mention about how we diverge from that, but for a complete application, you need to provide your CV, which everybody can do at any time, I hope, your transcript, current transcript, a statement of purpose, 2 reference letters. Now the exams come, and this is kind of going to be tricky. Either an ALES or a GRE test result, and I will talk about ALES date, as I said, and some sort of English proficiency, TOEFL, IBT, YDS, EYDS, or YÖKDİL, one of those. But if you're taking TOEFL IBT for English proficiency, if you're taking it in Turkey, then it must be carried out in state universities, and our staff can give you more information about that if you're interested. Now, let me put you through a roadmap of what's going on. So, we start on the upper left. So this is our timeline in gray. We come to May 22nd, where you upload your application documents. That's the deadline. Then we start, each program has an admission committee, which is basically all the faculty members who are seeking students from that program. And we have an initial screening by this admission committee of each program. So these are kind of tentative. They could play around by a couple of days, but around June 1st, we will complete initial screening. So, and we have a scoring system which looks at your backgrounds, your accomplishments, your GPA, how well you wrote your statement of purpose, how well you know Sabancı University, how much you have demonstrated your enthusiasm to be a Sabancı University student, etc. So all these will reflect on those documents that you have uploaded. So you will be given a score, and if your score is enough to go above a threshold, even if you have incomplete exams like the English proficiency or the ALES score, we assume that you will have a certain minimal grade with those, and then we score you, and if you are above a threshold, then you are invited to a face-to-face interview, which we hope to carry sometime in most of June. So different programs will carry out their different interviews on different dates. And then we will make our first admissions decisions by the end of June. I must stress that these dates might go back and forth a couple of days because of the COVID-19 developments, but they are not going to change hugely. So these are tentative dates. May 22 is a solid date, but June 1st and the interview dates and admissions decisions, they will play around a few days. Now, on August 16, there's the ALES exam. I realized that there are a lot of students who decided to stay in Turkey, and they did not take an ALES before because they were thinking of doing other things with their lives, but now they are contemplating doing graduate studies in Turkey, hopefully in Sabancı University. So the ALES exam is going to be on August 16, and we have been told that the scores will be known for ALES exam by September 16. So in the last 2 days until September 18, we will sit down and finalize our admissions decisions. So if you applied on the first application deadline, which is May 22nd, or if you decided to do it later and waited for the August 18 normal application deadline, either way, once we cannot give you a formal acceptance letter before you complete all of your documents. So if you have complete documents, we will give you an absolute decision by whenever we know. But if you have missing documents, then we will say, okay, we are conditionally accepted provided you bring this and that score in this and that exam. But you will pretty much know, because these exams, I know that our students usually get good scores, but we have to have a valid score in our hands to officially accept you. I hope this is clear. Now, and our enrollment is at the end of September. So due to the COVID crisis, our academic year will start sometime in October this year, it looks like. So you will have enough time to enroll and then choose your TA-ship, choose your courses, and start your education as a graduate student at Sabancı University. One thing is, before I close, I want to mention about our COVID-19 response, because we get a lot of questions on these. So our international students reside on campus. So if there's another cycle and then people are supposed to go away again, like they did this semester, then we make sure our international students are well taken care of. There are about 200 international students, most of whom are graduate students who are residing on campus right now. And of course, we moved the courses to online content. By the way, we do not offer online master programs. That was a question related to that. We don't do that. So our graduate research-based graduate programs require you to be on campus to interact with people and learn from the research environment. Now, but beyond that, those things everybody did. Sabancı University was very quick in reacting. We have a product, one of our faculty members actually has a product called Antimik, and our university, in collaboration with Sabancı Holding, went on to make a lot of that products, which came out of research carried out in our faculty. I will not mention names so as not to distract you from anything. But we were able to donate a large amount of this antimicrobial product. At the very, you see this says March 30 already it was distributed. So at the very beginning of the crisis in Turkey, we were responding in this way. Moreover, we have a lot of 3D printers scattered around campus in our faculty and elsewhere. So we did also go into 3D printing, we meaning some of our faculty members who were, you know, they wanted to do something very badly, so they went into 3D printing face masks and other medical supplies of urgent need. Our two centers are also involved in other projects of this sort. But then, as this went on further, of course, our faculty members also did research-based responses to these to this crisis. So we have, for example, one project which is an international data science project on the relationship between human mobility and SARS-CoV-2 spread. We have another project where a computer science faculty member is building software to detect COVID-related patterns from lung CT scans. Drug repurposing development efforts against the SARS-CoV-2 immune response is another project one of our faculty members is involved in collaboration with several universities around Turkey. Another faculty member is involved in high sensitivity test kit development in collaboration with coordination with TÜBİTAK, and yet another faculty member is looking at the dynamical characterization of SARS-CoV-2 proteins individually. That's computational work. And here's one looking at the epidemiology of SARS-CoV-2, especially how it developed in Turkey using bioinformatics. The picture I put there is from TÜBİTAK's interface, but our faculty member actually made that interface. And this is showing how even between different cities, how the patterns of the SARS-CoV was carried from one place to the other, and also from abroad into Turkey and vice versa. So we do have a lot of faculty members involved in the SARS-CoV projects. Yet other research is, of course, related to just what we have been doing. We carry on doing our research, and we are starting to do some summer seminar series. We call it Science Never Stops. And the first one is going to be on Monday. You can see the Zoom link. So this is going to be the first one, but we will have one or two of those open to everyone as online research seminars that everybody is invited to come and listen to and follow all sorts of research, not just COVID-19 related. So with this, I conclude. These are our contact information, different accounts, and social media links. If you want to follow us in different ways or ask us questions, you see the contact info there. And yeah, so I'll stop here. Thank you.
Hocam, we would like to thank Professor Canan Atılgan for her talk, and I would like to thank her personally. So we have some questions from our prospective students, Hocam, such that they were asking for the language. Why was this webinar was held in English and so on?
So yeah, that's simple. We are an English curriculum university. Our interviews are in English. We do everything in English. So as a result, we have a lot of internationals actually right now over here. So it is in English. Yeah.
And hocam, what if they were working, our prospective students were working in industry, do they still have a chance to do master's degree in Sabancı University?
Yeah, I tried to answer that earlier. Basically, the employer has to sign a protocol. You can't do a master's degree just on the weekends. So if your employer accepts you to be on campus 2 full working days, you will basically receive full tuition waiver, or they accept you to be 1 full working day a week, you will receive 2/3 tuition waiver. And of course, your advisor has to agree to it. Yeah, it is possible. Another thing which is connected to employment, which I see is a private question that came. Yes, we do accept 2244 PhD program students. So if you go to that list of projects, some of those are 2244 PhD programs. So we do have positions there as well. So if you do have a TVTAC scholarship, that's where your stipend will come from. And the Sabancı scholarship, as I mentioned, if you have BDEP scholarship, then on top of it, we add 350 lira per month, and also the transportation or the health insurance. And if you choose to stay on campus, the accommodations, these are all very much in place for each and every one of our students. If you have further questions, you can ask your questions as you see the links, and you will have more chance to ask questions in the other rooms that are related to the specific programs. After the programs are finished here, Sunum and IMT centers, our research centers, are going to have their other additional introductions to their activities. So please go ahead and stay around and stick around and enjoy your afternoon. We all have to stay at home this weekend, so why not be here and learn a bit more.
Hocam, we would like to thank you for your talk.
Thank you.
And now I would like to mention that there will be 3 rooms based upon your interest. So if you're interested in material science and nanoengineering, molecular biology, genetics and bioengineering, physics, mathematics, nanotechnology research, or integrated manufacturing research, please stay at this room. Otherwise, there will be 2 other rooms, which we have the links written on the chat. You can find them there, and you can see it on the presentation now. One of the rooms is for computer science and engineering people, cybersecurity, data science, and industrial engineering. If you're interested in these areas, please go to room 2. And if you're interested in mechatronics engineering, electronics engineering, energy technologies and management, or manufacturing engineering, please switch to room 3. But again, after 15:30, please come back to this room, and we see your messages, we see your questions. You can ask your questions to SUFAN's grad office. They will be happy to answer your questions. So now we again want to thank our dean, Professor Canan Atılgan, and now I would like to introduce Professor Selmiye Alkan Gürsel, who is a faculty member and graduate coordinator of Material Science and Nanoengineering program.
Oh, thank you so much. We are very happy for hosting you today. So material science and engineering is at the heart and center of everything we see, touch, and experience every day. And more broadly, it is concerned with the structure, properties, and applications of materials. This is an interdisciplinary field incorporating elements of chemistry, physics, biology, and engineering. And in material science Science and Nano Engineering graduate program, we work with diverse types of materials from nano to macro scale for various applications, and our graduates can apply science to real and significant problems in engineering and technology, and an interdisciplinary approach and broaden understanding beyond a single traditional science subject. And our graduate program offers a blend of theoretical and applied science studies, enabling graduates to tackle fundamental problems in materials science and engineering. And our graduate program is designed by our faculty, who have a broad spectrum of research topics that allows our students to carry out research in a variety of fields within the same program. So our research areas include, but of course not limited to, advanced composite materials. So we have been developing composite materials for various applications. We have been working on carbon-based materials, not only traditional graphite structures. We have been working on fancy carbons like graphene, carbon nanotubes. We have been working on materials for energy applications like energy storage systems such as batteries, supercaps, or energy conversion systems like fuel cells or solar cells. We have been working on smart materials and structures. We work on artificial muscles by using electroactive polymers. We have been working on theoretical and computational material science. And we have been developing semiconductors. We are investigating interfaces. We have been focused on surface science. We are developing functional surfaces, hydrophilic, hydrophobic surfaces, and in fact various materials. And we have very strong background on not only polymers and ceramics, not only carbon-based materials, but also characterization of these materials, modeling of these materials, and application of these materials in real systems. And our faculty members currently working on these topics have extensive background and research experience in well-established Turkish and international universities. And most of the research carried out by our faculty members have received national and international awards. Thus, we are offering you a world-class graduate program by a dynamic faculty. Almost every research activity in our graduate program is a part of nationally or internationally funded projects, and our graduate students can receive fellowship through these funds. And our graduate students have opportunity to work on such projects with our centers. We have several centers, so we can work together in a strong collaboration with the centers, and also some external research organizations, other universities and industry. So the interdisciplinary nature of our graduate program is ideally suited for various collaborations. And we offer our graduate students a cutting-edge facilities and latest technology laboratory equipments, which provide them significant capabilities and opportunities in their research. So our graduate students are responsible for several equipment or instruments they can learn, they can use, even they can teach that instrument to their colleagues. So master's and PhD thesis of our graduate students can lead to publication in internally recognized journals, and students can regularly attend national and international conferences where they can present their results and their research. And companies like to hire our graduates because our graduates have a broad educational background in all classes of materials, excellent experimental, design, and research experience, and useful and applicable skills. And after receiving their degrees, our graduate students often choose to continue their careers in respectable Turkish or foreign companies, or they would like to continue with academic career in well-established international or national universities and research institutions. So, because of the productive, dynamic, and highly specialized faculty here, our graduate program attracts students not only from Turkish universities, but also abroad. I would like to also mention that our faculty have very broad experience, and they have PhD degrees from different fields of sciences. We have chemistry professors, chemical engineers. We have faculty members from physics or other engineering sciences. So in our graduate program, we aim to develop in our graduate program, we aim to develop the next generation of leaders in material science and nanoengineering through cutting-edge education program and by performing high-impact research that benefits society. And finally, I would like to mention that we are dedicated to expanding the boundaries of our knowledge and producing the material scientists and engineering of the future. So thank you so much.
Hocam, we would like to thank you. We would like to thank Professor Selmi Alkan Gürsel for her talk, and I would like to introduce Professor Batu Erman, who is a faculty member and graduate coordinator of Molecular Biology, Genetics, and Bioengineering program.
Hello, my name is Batu Erman. I'm a faculty member in the bio program. We have some time to introduce the program and afterwards some time to answer your questions. To introduce this program, we have an undergraduate degree program which typically takes about or graduates about 20 to 30 students every year, and a graduate program that has master's and PhD students that are roughly about 50 to 60 in total. And every year we accept between 10 to 15 new students to our graduate programs. And the subject matter is interdisciplinary in nature, of course, but there are four main subject matters. One of them is bioinformatics, where computer science related research is conducted in using biological data. There are 3 faculty members focusing on this and advising students. Secondly, a molecular biology and cell biology. So there are under 3 faculty members conducting research in this field. Plant molecular biology and genetics and plant physiology. So we have a greenhouse right next to the faculty, and also some plant laboratories within the second floor of the building. And where there are 3 faculty members and their students study both the molecular biology and genetics of plants, but also the physiology and interactions with soil. And finally, structural biology and computational biology. Our dean, Canan Atılgan, is a computational biologist. Of course, this field is closely related to material science because in nature, proteins and biological macromolecules are polymers in general, and you can make computational studies of these molecules using high performance computers and use this information to develop new drugs and generate new molecules targeting biological molecules. And structural biology is a field that uses protein expression and protein purification and identification of the properties of proteins. And myself and Zehra Sayars have some experiments in this field as well. And let me introduce the faculty members. We're quite dynamic. New people are joining almost every year now. Let me just first introduce our new faculty members. So Nur Mustafaoğlu is going to be joining us this fall semester, and from the US, and she works in antibody technology, so she'll be building her lab and will be accepting new students. Right above her is Emrah Eroğlu, who joined, I think, about a year, maybe a year and a half ago, and has already set up his lab and is working on fluorescent protein-based nanosensors and biological sensors based on GFP molecules and other fluorescent molecules. And let me see, and then after that, a little older is Ogün Adebali and Öznur Taştan. So these two are our bioinformaticians. Ogün is the author of this COVID paper where they study the migration of the COVID virus by looking at the genome sequence data. And a little bit older than that is Chris Mayak, who works on bee neurobiology. There is an active bee apiary on campus, and Chris and his students not only keep these bees on campus alive, but also use them, bring them into the labs to do molecular work on bee appetite sensing. And then the rest are, so for molecular biology, myself and Hüveyda Basha, we focus on eukaryotic stress responses and immunology and cancer research. İsmail Çakmak, Selim Çetiner, and Levent Öztürk are plant biologists, and they work with plant physiology and genetically modified organisms. And Zehra Sayars, our ex-president of the university, is a biophysicist, and she studies the protein structure and biophysics. And Fazilet Vardar is the head of the Nanotechnology Center. And Denis Cesar is also a biophysicist who works with computational protein biophysics in silico using drug design. So just quickly, maybe in 1 or 2 minutes, what students do in this program. This is not a classical master's or PhD program where students take a lot of classes. I mean, you do have to take the required 7 classes for master's and 14 classes for the PhD if you're coming to the PhD from your undergraduate degree, or 7 courses if you're coming to your PhD from a master's degree. This is what is required by the Turkish YÖK authority. But on top of those classes, starting from day 1, we expect the students to come into the lab and start working on their PhD or master's theses. And also, since the scholarships come with a tuition waiver and a requirement to teach, we expect our students to TA. Mostly undergraduate laboratory courses, but also math and introductory biology classes and introductory university courses. Many of the bio students teach the first year introductory NS natural science courses. And finally, what you do with a degree from this university, a lot of the master's students go abroad to continue in their PhDs. Some of them stay with us, hopefully, and continue with their PhDs. The PhD students, there's quite a diverse employment history. Most of the PhD students do postdocs in academic labs. Some have gone on into industry. We have PhD students who have gone to the US, conducted postdocs, and came back to Turkey to become academicians, one at Bilkent University, for example, 2 at least at Bilkent University. And in general, of course, biology, molecular biology is very, with this COVID virus infection, is very current right now. I suspect there will be a lot of research funding on virology, which we intend to work on as well. And but when you think of a PhD in biology or a degree in biology, you should think about this career not being a typical career. So a typical engineer, for example, from an undergraduate degree can find employment in companies and then go into a company and rise in the companies. A typical molecular biologist, of course, doesn't do that. A typical molecular biologist at least does a master's or a PhD. But when you look at the PhDs in molecular biology, a really small percentage become academicians. This is a great misconception, I think. So maybe about 10 to 15% of all PhDs in this field become academicians. Many of them go on to other employments like biotech companies or pharmaceutical companies or other types of employment. Of course, we train our students as if they're going to be academicians, and we hope that at least some of them do become the future generation of academicians. But we should be realistic that many of them will be finding employment in companies, and that's what we actually experience as well. This is not specific to our department. This is in all of academia in biotechnologies. So to summarize, the PhD studies have typically master studies take 2 years. PhD studies take anywhere from 4 to 6 years. PhD students have to publish at least 2 papers. There's no requirement for master students, and many of our PhDs graduates continue with postdoctoral fellowships after this stay. So I hope to meet you guys afterwards in the one-to-one sessions, in the question and answer sessions. So I leave it back to Recha.
We would like to thank Professor Batu Erman for his talk, and I would like to introduce Professor Erman in a physics program.
Hello, everybody. It's very pleasant to meet you. I will introduce you a topic that probably many of you don't like so much. Physics is not the most pleasant topic to study, but it's in the heart of all fields. It's in the heart of all technical fields, by no exception. So if you do whatever you do, you use some level of physics. And here at Sabancı University, we are trying to be as transparent, flexible as possible to promote and foster interdisciplinary research areas. Here we have primary fields, which are astrophysics and cosmology, experimental and theoretical condensed matter physics, and quantum physics. I will now open up what we do in each of these. Astrophysics and cosmology basically uses the whole universe as our laboratory. We do not have the experiment here on the ground, but we use the whole universe. We observe the sky in various telescopes, including X-ray telescopes that are operating beyond our Earth's atmosphere. In here, what we do is, of course, we try to understand distant objects such as black holes, neutron stars, but at the same time, we try to understand the origin of life. We observe extrasolar planets, planets orbiting distant stars. How the life started here on Earth cannot be understood with what we have here on Earth. We need to look deep down to where Earth-like planets are in their primitive state. Earth is no longer primitive. It's evolved. It's so degenerate now. There is nothing around you that shows the earlier signs. But Mars is showing it. Mars is going to be expanded with the new mission, Mars 2020. And here we are trying to push some opportunities in upcoming years so that astrophysics and biology can work together in the field known as astrobiology. We already do some level of astrobiology research using samples collected from Antarctica. TÜBİTAK's latest institute, known as Polar Research Center, they go to Antarctica twice a year. They do experiments there and they collect sample. And with those, we try to understand our origin in the harshest conditions here on Earth. Condensed matter physics is our nearest point to material science and engineering. And Selmiye Hoca already mentioned our connection. We do a lot of similar type of research, some in collaboration. So even if you are enrolled in material science, you will be very welcome to do collaborative research with physics faculty. Quantum physics is, of course, again, in every part of physics and in every part of our life. Here we do research at, again, laboratory level, as well as astrophysical and cosmological level. Now, the faculty who are doing these research, I will try to tell you, astrophysics, theoretical astrophysics is done by Ali Alpar and Ünal Ertander. Durmuş Ali Demir is the person who does quantum research, as well as Zafer Gedik, you see just below Durmuş Ali Demir. He does quantum computing and some level of quantum cryptology. Emrah Kalemci operates the only high energy detector lab in Turkey. We are very proud of it. It's the first and only. He is building detectors to be placed in space. Myself, Ersin Göğüş, I am doing experimental astrophysics work in high energy astrophysics, some level of astrobiology and exoplanet research. İnanç Adagideli is a theoretical condensed matter physicist. İsmet İnönü Kaya, right next to, is the experimentalist. And you see down there 4 faculty who are our adjunct associated members. They are in material science, and Deniz Sezer is a biophysicist. We do, he does, as Batu Hoca said, biophysical research. The opportunities are huge. One example is a big project, a space astrophysics project led by Chinese, with large contribution of European Space Agency, ESA, and we are building the application software of this space telescope. Application software requires knowledge of physics, electronics engineering, and computer science. This is a wonderful opportunity for all of you who are listening now, who have physics, electronics, or computer engineering background. Finally, I want to tell you that we don't expect all our prospective students to be physicists. We don't expect all to have physics undergraduate degree. Here we encourage physics, electronics engineering, computer science, biology, material science graduates to consider a graduate degree in physics. Thanks a lot.
We would like to thank Professor. We had some questions to ask to our professors. Selmi Hocam, can you hear me?
Yes, I'm here and hearing you.
Hocam, one of the prospective students were asking you a question. They were saying that I'm interested in metal organic frameworks and I'm working in a startup which we try to design MOFs. Is it possible to work on the same subject?
Yes, of course. We are currently working on metal organic frameworks, and especially ISO is working on metal organic frameworks. So we can synthesize these materials and characterize them, and also we are applying in different energy systems for hydrogen storage, or we would like to use them in fuel cells and such. So this is one of the topics we have been currently working on.
Hocam, çok teşekkür ederiz. We would like to thank you. So there was another question to Batu Hoca. Batu Hocam, there was a student who was asking you that the question is, I had a bachelor in pharmacy and master in biotechnology. So what should I do to join the molecular and genetics program? And he
Yes,
wants to actually pharmacogenomics.
Pharmacogenomics. So we don't really discriminate on the past degrees. We've had students from agriculture, we've had students from computer science, chemical engineering, chemistry, pharmacy. We've had MD students, so MD degree holding students. So it doesn't really matter what you've done in the past, as long as you know the basics of molecular and cellular biology. Even if you don't, or if you're not confident, you can take some undergraduate classes as audit without the credit. Some undergraduate courses can be counted for master's students as well, but the fourth year undergrad courses, I think you can take 2 4 credit for master's students. But as long as you find an area that's of interest to one of the faculty members or the SUNAM researchers, and you agree on a thesis topic, the course listing of the actual courses that our graduate students take are in the bio website. So there are no restrictions on people interdisciplinary or course disciplinary interests.
Hocam, thank you for your answer. So we have one more question. We have some more questions for sure. So this one is for Ersin Hoca, Ersin Göğür. Does Sabancı University has any space-related research projects?
Yes, indeed. This is all I do. Everything I do is space related. Let me open up a bit. Right now, the funded project that I have is to analyze, investigate neutron stars and their characteristic burst properties. On the other hand, we are collaborating in instrumentation, in data analysis side with other international teams. So yes, the short answer again is everything I do and few other faculty in physics, we are space researchers.
There is one more question for you. Actually, students are asking, is there any science exam for Master in Physics programs before they are accepted?
Well, we had one so that we will know what level of physics they know. But now in this not so easy to come face to face, we take this off our requirements. So we are going to accept based on ALES results. But let me also add that entrance physics exam and if enrolled physics graduate programs require some physics. If those who do not have physics background may find it difficult, but as Batu just said, they can take some undergraduate level physics courses as audit and improve their background. And one last thing is that if they want to do graduate studies, which should be a desire, nobody forces anybody to do graduate studies. If they want to do it, I'm sure they can achieve really good high scores because all it takes is just work hard. It's not impossible.
Hocam, thank you for your answer. Saniye Hocam, we have one question for you. Students are asking, I'm graduated from textile engineering. Is it possible to graduate in material science and nanotechnology? If, what will be the research scope if I want to do some textile engineering research? Or can I do?
Yes, of course, you can apply our graduate program. And previously, we have such students, their undergrad studies are from textile engineering. Then they carried out master's or PhD in our program. And for instance, one of them was my student. So she worked on some kind of electrospinning systems. So she prepared some electrospun membranes for energy applications. So there may be some other choices. So we are open to different background students. So you just take extra courses and so on. I'm talking about if you would like to continue for PhD, for the qual exams, you can take courses accordingly to focus on more material science, but being from textile engineering is not a disadvantage. It's an advantage, in fact. Okay.
Thank you, Hocam. Batu Hocam, we have some more questions for you. The question is directly like, you said that there are requirements for PhD level. Are these requirements still same for PhD after undergraduate levels? So they mean that if they are doing PhD with their bachelors, or the requirements are more than normal PhD? So they're asking in terms of number of articles published and number of courses taken, to be taken.
Yeah, so okay, so I think this is true for all programs. These are YÖK requirements, not our university's requirements in terms of classes. So YÖK requires all graduate students in Turkey doing masters after an undergraduate degree to take 7 courses, and all PhD students to take 7 courses after the masters or 14 courses after the undergraduate. So that applies for all programs. In terms of writing papers, any PhD student from the bio program, regardless of if they're coming from an undergraduate directly or from the masters, has to write 2 papers, 2 publications that have to be accepted before they graduate. But this is not a problem typically.
Hocam, we have one more question to you. So one of the students were asking whether you are working on one of these subjects: regenerative medicine, stem cells, tissue engineering, transplantation, or wound healing at the molecular biology and engineering program.
Yeah, I mean, so if you look at the bio website, all the professors have listed their research areas. So in terms of what was the subject? I guess stem cells. So Devrim Gözarçık works on that. We have some experiments working with stem cells, but
Regenerative medicine, hocam.
regenerative medicine and bioprinting. So Bahattin Koç has a research program partially done in Sunum, where they have bioprinters and they print stem cell derived cells in 3D organ cultures. But so these are subjects that are basic. I mean, are cutting edge in molecular biology, cell biology fields, and I think every project has some kind of involvement in this. If it's not directly on campus, maybe through collaborations.
Hocam, there's one other question. Thank you for answering all of these questions. The question asks you whether you have any projects related to COVID-19.
Yes, so as our dean told you, so Ogün Adabeli has a bioinformatics project that studies the genome sequence of this virus and how the virus travels in and out of Turkey and within Turkey, taking the published or disclosed genome sequences of the virus from the Turkish population, and they're about to publish this quite soon. And my group has a project on making a drug against COVID-19. So this is this repurposing that the dean talked about. So we're working on a project funded by TÜBİTAK to synthesize a drug called anakinra, which is a drug that inhibits the inflammatory response in the lungs. This is a drug that already exists, that has been generated against rheumatoid arthritis and other inflammatory diseases. And now there are clinical trials in several medical schools abroad in Sweden. And we hope to synthesize this drug and market it in Turkey in collaboration with Istanbul University and Koç University and some pharmaceutical companies.
Hocam, there are some more questions for you. There's a student, actually this question, a type of this question was asked to Sami Hoca also. There's a question, there's a prospective student asks that, I was graduated in material science and engineering. Can I pursue a master's degree in medical engineering with very low background?
We don't really have a program in medical engineering, but a lot of the research we do is so the medical engineering is tıbbi biyoloji, I guess, in Turkish. But I mean, we collaborate with researchers in medical faculties all around Turkey. Marmara University, which has a hospital very close to our campus. My lab, Devrim's lab, Devrim Gözarçık's lab have projects with them. So we get, and Özlem Kutlu from Sunum also has collaborations with medical doctors. So we get human tissue samples or disease samples, and typically study either the genetics or the cell biology of these kinds of things. So we don't actually see patients or deal with actually patients, but the material that comes from patients make up a lot of the health-related projects.
Hocam, there's another question. It is, if I have all the academic requirements as GRE and TOEFL scores and GPA from biology bachelor degree, but no research and lab experience, do you think there is a chance for me to accept it to PhD bio program?
Yeah, I mean, so we don't have any. I mean, we have some requirements about you know, taking the courses, taking the exams, and also you know, it would be good if you do undergraduate research, but we are aware that many Turkish universities don't really have the resources to do to have all their students do research in their undergrad careers. So there's no requirement for undergraduate research. What is important is, one, to get good grades, have a good GPA above 3 typically, let's say 2.5 to 3 out of 4, and to have, you know, an above average GRE or ALES score, and then also write a statement of purpose. I think the most critical thing is to write your statement of purpose in English and to explain to the admissions committee why you want to be admitted to this program, what you have done in the past, what you intend to do in this program, and what you intend to do after graduating in this program. So, this is the most critical thing of the application. You can have average exam scores and no experience, but write a spectacular and really interesting statement of purpose, and we'll be interested in working with you.
But Hocam, thank you for answering all these questions. Salmiye Hocam, we have one question for you.
Yes, please.
A student asks you, I'm a metallurgical engineer. I want to have research work in nanomaterials. In my undergrad studies, I have only studied nanoscience briefly as a topic in a course, which means that my background is not strong regarding nanoscience. Will this affect my application for graduate study in nanomaterials?
In fact, no, because during your applications to our master or PhD degree, we don't expect you a strong background on nanoscience or nanoengineering. You will learn this in during your graduate studies. So if you have some background on material science already, and we will check your documents, and after interviewing and so on, we will accept you. So knowing very little in nanoscience or nanoengineering will not affect so much for your application. So please just do it. No problem on that.
Thank you, Hocam. Actually, we have some more questions, but I guess these questions are all can be answered by any of our faculty members. One of these question was, does Sabancı University support ideas for new startups?
Yes, of course. You know, we have very good examples in our graduate students, even just after their graduations or during their graduations. Our university strongly support that type of spin-off companies and so on.
And there's another question, again to all of our professors. Do the prospective students who want to study second master's degree have the same chance as the other students to be accepted to Sabancı University?
I can answer from material science and nanoengineering view. So we have several students in that situation. So they already had a master's degree and they are doing a second master. So this is not a kind of disadvantage. So just go on, no problem on that.
So one other question, students are asking if they're accepted to a master's program, can they switch to PhD?
Yes, we've had that in the past. So after your first year of masters, you can apply. Just fill out a form as long as you're the faculty member you're doing your PhD with is supporting you. There's no problem doing that. Doing the reverse is not that easy. So if you start with a PhD and want to turn it into a master's, I think that's because of some governmental regulations, that's not really possible. So you have to apply for a master's program again.
So in material science and nano engineering also, we had several students in that situations. They started with masters and then continue, just shifted to PhD and take all the required courses and so on. So it is something you can do.
Yeah, let me add to that. So if you start with a master's, so if you come from an undergraduate degree and you start with a master's program, then your requirement is 7 courses. And then if you switch to the PhD program, then it becomes 14 courses because you're basically doing a PhD without a master's. That typically is not a problem. And also the salary situation. So if you're if you're working supported by either a TÜBİTAK project or another external project, if your salary is 2,500 liras for masters and 3,500 for PhD. So if you do the switch, then of course your salary goes up accordingly. As long as there's enough funding in your professor's project to fund you, of course. But those are things that you have to negotiate with your professor.
Thanks all, hocam. So actually we have one question that addresses, especially it is asked to Sami Hoca, but I guess it can go to any of you, hocam. So does a student with undergrad degree in chemical engineering technology can pursue material science and nano-engineering graduate program? This has been asked for several times.
Yes. So as the material science and nano engineering graduate program, we are accepting students with different backgrounds. We have students from material science BS degree or mechanical engineering sometimes, chemical engineering, chemistry. And so it is something possible. So you can apply.
Thanks a lot, hocam. So there is one prospective student asking you. She hasn't addressed any of our professors. So the question is, I would like to know if it is possible to get scholarship if I am working in industry and I cannot get scholarship from my employer.
Again, maybe other people can have an answer as well, but we have some students in the bio program who are working in companies. Of course, they have salaries from their companies. So as long as you have a salary, then it's typically you don't really need a scholarship. There are some special requirements for students working in companies while they're doing their studies at the university. So they still have to teach, to become a teaching assistant. So they have to commit some amount of time to be physically on campus. And the company and the university has to sign an agreement defining what amount of effort and time will be spent on campus and on the company. I think if you're employed, if you're asking about like a scholarship coming from a TÜBİTAK project, TÜBİTAK's rules are that if you're not working anywhere else, then you can get as much as 2,500 for masters and as much as 3,500 for PhD. But that's all up to the leader of the principal investigator of the project. So they can give as much as that money, but they can give less if they see fit. But if you are working in a company, then TÜBİTAK has some requirements. I think it's about 450 or 500 liras per month that you can get extra from a To-Be-Talk project. So as long as that, I mean, if you're working in a company, you have a salary, and your professor has a project, they can still give you not the full amount, but some amount of scholarship as well. Other people can correct me if I'm wrong.
Thank you, Hocam. There is another question to all of you. If you're invited to interview, will it be held online?
I can answer that, I guess. Maybe others can pitch in. I mean, we haven't gotten any directions yet about how we will do our interviews. Of course, up to last semester, we were doing face-to-face interviews, all programs. My personal expectation is that we will be doing the interviews, at least for the bio program, through Zoom. We don't really have authorization to go back on campus yet anyway. But of course, these may change in the next coming weeks. But the main aim of the interviews is for us to be able to judge first your interest in the graduate program, and second, your ability to speak in English. So I think these are things that, because you know, how you speak in English and how you present yourself are critical aspects of how you will become a teacher in the classes that you TA. So these are things that can be easily addressed in a Zoom meeting. So this is my expectation. But if the university decides to invite you to campus, we'll be there to interview.
So for material science and nano engineering, previously we have not online type of interview face to face, but for the foreign students we were use Skype just to interview the students. So we have quite good experience on that. So as Batu Hoca mentioned, I think we will have Zoom type of interview, and it will not a kind of problem, not for you and for us. So it will go most probably like that.
Let me also tell, I was going to say the same thing, but Canan Hoca just wrote, yes, all interviews will be Zoom based.
Thanks a lot, Hocam. So there are also some questions like, I'm a foreign graduate student successfully completing graduate studies. Have I have a prospect of job placements in Turkey? Yeah, a student asks.
There was actually interesting question. There was there's a link in the university. There's an internal university website called MySU, and there was a link from an old graduate, a foreign graduate, about this. He was having a webinar on how to find employment in Turkey. I think he's after graduating from the university, he is working in a computer science related web-based kind of company. This is clearly possible as long as you fulfill the requirements of the Turkish immigration laws. I mean, also I can add quite a large number of our students are foreign students coming from abroad. I think it changes with every program. For the bio program, I think about maybe 20% of our graduate students are non-Turkish.
Even it is more in material science and nano engineering, more foreigners in our program.
Hocam, there is another question. The students are afraid that if they have not applied in the early application period, but instead of the regular period, so would they lose their chance to have a scholarship?
I can answer quickly. The scholarship has nothing to do with being accepted. So as the dean outlined, whether you get a scholarship or not basically depends on which project you're working on. If the professor you work with has a project that can fund you, it depends on whether you qualify for one of the university projects, university scholarships that will require you to do 20 hours of teaching assistantship. And of course, it depends on whether you can apply for the TÜBİTAK BİDEP scholarships. At least for the bio program, we accept students on objective criteria, which are your undergraduate and if you have master's degrees, your GPAs, your statement of purpose, and your exam scores. And whether we give you a scholarship or not is totally independent of whether we accept you or not.
This is the same for the material science and nano engineering program.
Thank you, Hocam. There's a student asking, I would like to know the international students in the field of physics, whether they can apply for the scholarships.
Of course.
And students are asking, can we expect more scholarships for doing projects as a PhD student? Can they do 2 or more projects at the same time?
PhD projects are usually very hard. I mean, it depends on the person, of course, but I wouldn't recommend my graduate students to split into 2 projects. It's in physics, it usually takes about 4 to 5 years to complete PhD, and we expect at least 1 or 2 papers, original peer-reviewed journal papers to come out. So they can collaborate, not as their prime project, but they can participate in other projects as minor players. But I wouldn't recommend leading 2 projects at the PhD level.
I can also comment. I guess every field is different. In terms of molecular biology, typically, if you're doing a PhD, if you're going to spend 4 to 5 years, you work on more than one project because once you finish some subject, then you go on to do other things. In my personal experience, which project you get funded from does not necessarily have any implication on what project you're actually working on. Every professor does it differently. In my case, the students define a project, they work on it, but they can get their salary from a separate project. Of course, they contribute to the project they get their salary from, but maybe a minor part. And because of collaborations and rapid changing subjects, typically what you start with in your PhD is not what you end up writing your PhD. This is my personal experience, but of course it changes with every faculty member.
So topics are related to each other. We even we encourage the students work in several projects at the same time. This is something they can do if they are highly motivated. So this is the case.
Hocam, students are very nervous about the interviews. So they're asking, will there be any exam held during the interview, or what will be the questions like? So whether they have to wear professional while coming to the interview, so what they should do?
I think I tried to... Go ahead, Selmiye, please.
Hocam, devam edin. Siz başladınız. Lütfen.
Yok.
And so on. So for material science and nano engineering, we are not carrying out a kind of exam. It is not a kind of science exam. So we are asking questions to understand whether you have a research experience in your undergrad level. Did you work on any type of projects, and which portion of the project you work and what you did? So we may ask what you did before in terms of science and such type of things. We try to understand about your motivation, your background, and such details. We are not asking very specific questions regarding to material science and nano engineering.
The same in biology. It's not formal at all. We just want to meet you during the interview, assess your language level, and how you present yourself. It's not formal at all. You can come in shorts as far as where I'm concerned. We won't be seeing that in Zoom anyway. So, but it's important to try to convey to us why you want to do a master's here. I mean, of course, at the base of it, you know, you may be wanting to get a scholarship to earn some money, but this is not what we're after. We're after people, students who who have a genuine interest in molecular biology and bioengineering and genetics, and who would like to participate and contribute to the projects that are being conducted in this department.
Thanks a lot, Hojam. So there's one other question. They are asking about the projects. So they were asking if they will be able to do any collaborations while doing the projects with different countries.
So if in material science and nano-engineering, it's possible if it's an European project, type of projects, it's possible. It's always the case that you can collaborate. Even you can stay sometime in the abroad to. We have such type of during PhD. We have such type of scholars from TÜBİTAK to just support you during that time. But it's possible.
Same here. I mean, I think almost all the faculty members have connections abroad, either from their PhD or from their postdoc, and or new collaborations. There are many faculty projects that are collaborative projects funded by TÜBİTAK or by the European Union, and students typically go abroad to do part of their work if their faculty member has such a project. I mean, I can tell you from in the bio department, at least, I have one project with Slovenia, one with England, one with the United States, and students go typically to these countries, and also for presentations in meetings. Of course, how that will happen in the next 2 years, we'll see. But the same is true for most of the faculty members in the bio program.
We would like to thank our faculty members and graduate coordinators a lot for their help and support. Now, I would like to introduce Professor Fazilet Vardar, who is the director of Sabancı University Nanotechnology Research and Application Center and a faculty member of Molecular Biology, Genetics and Bioengineering program.
Hello. Can you hear me? Hello. Hello.
We can hear very well, Hocam.
Okay. First of all, it was very interesting to see all these enthusiastic students. We're hoping to welcome them in the next semester. I will be talking about a unique environment at the intersection of research and application. in Sabancı University Nanotechnology Research and Application Center. It is a unique center, as Canan Hoca explained, which was established in the year 2010 with a very interesting architecture. And subsequent to a very competitive screening process by the Ministry of Development in 2016, Sunum was selected as one of the national research infrastructures, in fact, one of the 4. And it is now fully integrated and operates in synergy with Sabancı University, with a vision of a Turkey that produces global knowledge and value in nanotechnology. And our mission can be summarized in 5 main bullets. Of course, to be a center of excellence for multidisciplinary and cross-disciplinary research and development studies, providing global nanotechnological solutions to societal challenges, and creating socio-economic value through commercialization of research results. And I would like to underline this because there were some questions about creation of spin-offs and so on. We totally encourage creation of spin-offs and commercialization of research results. And we try to do this by exploiting synergies and long-term strategic partnerships with many stakeholders. Currently, in our ecosystem, we have over 200 stakeholders that we are closely collaborating with in different forms, basically in the form of collaborative research projects, but in some of them it goes even deeper. And of course, we try to contribute to the training of high caliber researchers. We have a very good infrastructure, approximately 8,000 square meters, and our clean room is the best in the country. In addition to this, there are 25 multidisciplinary laboratories and, of course, office and general use facilities. And they're all furnished with high-tech equipment to support research and development in nanotechnologies. These are the 5 main groups of labs: micro and nano fabrication, measurement, characterization, imaging, material synthesis and manufacturing, energy conversion, storage, and molecular biology. So we carry out research in these domains, as I will explain very soon. Currently, we have, with our full-time and part-time researchers, we have 90 researchers, and with our students and technical personnel, our population is around 120 under the roof of Sunum, and they all contribute to this highly exciting ecosystem of research and development. We target projects with cross-sectoral applications, with applications in many different industrial areas, from automotive to pharmaceuticals, from environment to food, from security to energy. So it is a vast distribution of different topics, and we choose the research topics, of course, based on our institutional strengths, taking into consideration national priorities and industrial needs, but we also take into consideration international trends. So our research concentrates in this niche area at the cross-section of these 4 strengths. Nanomaterials, micro-nano systems, design and integration is the horizontal theme, but we have 4 vertical themes: life sciences, food, agriculture, water and environment, energy, defense, aviation, and aerospace applications. So we carry out our research at the cross-section of the vertical themes with the nanomaterials horizontal theme. Going very quickly to the subtopics under these pillars. The first one was nanomaterials. So in this theme, we talk about nanomaterial synthesis and characterization and micro-nanosystems design and integration. So from functional surfaces to soft materials, smart materials, device systems, device characterization, device packaging, nano characterization, computational modeling, and 3D additive manufacturing are the subtopics. And we do all these programs, these research projects, in collaboration with the different units at Sabancı University and with our other stakeholders. The next one is life sciences, and this can be divided again into two main groups: prevention, diagnosis, and treatment. So from molecular mechanisms to biomarkers to biosensors, and then application of nanoparticles in drug research, immunotherapy, medical devices. It's all tissue and organ engineering. There was a question on that. So we have researchers targeting topics on that. In energy, we concentrate on energy storage, energy conversion, energy efficiency, and renewable energy. So lithium-ion batteries, lithium-air batteries, supercapacitors, hydrogen storage, fuel cells are main topics. And also we have a special group on microcavitation and insulation materials. Renewable energies is something we would like to foster in the future. So energy harvesting, solar cells, and wind turbines are also topics. Of course, we collaborate with other Sabancı University units with economics and policies in the energy sector. Food, agriculture, water, and environment is one of the priority areas now in the COVID-19, after the COVID-19 crisis. So sustainable plant production, food processing, food safety, and water and environment, which is an integral part of food, both sustainable production and sustainable food processing. Yeah, they're all integrated. We talk about sustained release of agrochemicals, crop improvement, antibacterial coatings, food packaging, intelligent packaging, nano remediation, photocatalytic water treatment, crop improvement at the molecular level. These are all topics that we deal with. Aviation and defense can be divided into 4 subtopics: shielding materials, electronics, cooling, antennas, radar systems, and display technologies with its subtopics. I'm going very fast. Currently, we have 26 scholarships under different projects, and we would like to work with students, MSc or PhD students of various qualifications. We accept students from different programs, who are enrolled in different programs of Sabancı University School of Engineering. And also they can come from completely different backgrounds, because we really have a multidisciplinary approach, and we believe that this is important for tackling global challenges. I will go very fast through these projects, the main topics, but they will be announced on our website. So anybody who is interested can send us an email or can check the details of these projects on our website. So the first one is a TÜBİTAK project on graphene cooling-based systems. There are details. I will upload this presentation on Sunum website as well, so you can have access and study this at your leisure. Another one is a Korean bilateral program on controlled bubble dynamics in flow boiling magnetic nanofluids. We want a PhD student in this. We would like a master's and PhD student again in our Russian collaboration project, enhancement of heat transfer at pool boiling and flow boiling in mini and micro channels. Another one is mRNet call, where we are looking for a PhD student in lithium-ion supercapacitors. Next one is our TÜBİTAK 1001 project. Again, we are looking for PhD and master students in hydrogel supported 3D printing methodologies. TÜBİTAK 2232 is a special program for internationally recognized researchers, and we have these 5 of these outstanding researchers under Sunum's roof, and we are proud to be accommodating to their research needs. So we need a doctoral PhD scholarship for the development of conjugated polymers for chemical sensor applications. Another 2032 scholarship is for expanding microfabrication research and production of MEMS sensors for a greener and healthier appliances. We have a 1001 project in photothermal agents for antimicrobial air filters. This is an MSc scholarship available. Another 1001 scholarship is for a PhD student in SLIPS architecture in air bubble and gas distribution filters. 2232, an outstanding leader scientist program. This is another one. We are looking for master's and doctorate students in continuous composite manufacturing by a microwave powered fluid reactor. Another 1001 project is on medical focus for tackling the disruption mechanisms of a special disease at a molecular level, and we're looking for a doctoral student, a PhD scholarship there is available in this. There is another one, 1001 project for PEM fuel cells, modeling and experimental studies, and we're looking for a PhD student in chemical, material, or mechanical engineering with qualifications as such. Another 2032 outstanding researcher program is bioengineering of corneal tissue substitute by using shear thinning peptide hydrogel-based scaffolds. This is again in tissue engineering, and there was a call on that. We're looking for a PhD scholar in this. We have another project on TRICEP strategic research and development project program. MSc student in microRNAs and food allergies, determining biological risk factors and so on. And another 2232 program is a master's and PhD student in focusing on physics, material science, and engineering with a background, a novel route to develop a new pi junctions for quantum computing applications. 1001 project, masters and doctoral students with a background in physics and material sciences in superconducting films. And this is a summary of the requirements we have for the 26 openings. We are really looking forward to students who are enthusiastic to work in this unique environment where they can work in different projects in addition to their doctoral programs, because we have a number of contracted research from industry as well. And a unique characteristic of our center is also a high number of technical specialists, with most of them with PhDs in their fields. So these technical specialists, together with the supervisors and principal investigators, create an environment of co-learning and collaboration, which I think the students will benefit eventually after they graduate, because it mimics an industrial and real life situation where you have to collaborate with different teams and learn to perform for deadlines. So thank you very much for listening. I would be pleased to answer any questions our candidates might have.
We would like to thank Professor Fazilet Vardar for her talk. Now I would like to introduce Professor Bahattin Koç, who is the director of Sabancı University, Integrated Manufacturing Technologies, Research and Application Center, and faculty member of Industrial Engineering and Manufacturing Engineering programs.
Hi, everyone. It's good to see you attending this webinar session. I think it has been very great. So I'm the last person before the end of this session, but I would like to, I know we are with all the time, so I will try to explain as quick as possible, and then maybe just leave more time for your questions. So I'm, as mentioned, I'm the director of the Sabancı University Integrated Manufacturing Technologies Research and Application Center, which is actually not on campus. It is 10 minutes from the campus, main campus. It is located in the Technopark Istanbul, which is one of the high technology technopark very near to Sabiha Gökçen Airport. So I'm going to just briefly talk about what the center is about and what we do. So the center was actually founded in 2016. It's relatively new. We were active since 2018. It was one of the unique setting where we have a industrial collaboration. It's our own, like our collaboration with the Corsa in the same building. This is actually one of the unique centers globally as well, that you see the production as well as the actual research. So we work with Corsa, but we are independent from Corsa. This is Sabancı University Center. We also work with other companies and other agencies. So our aim is that in Sabancı University we work technology readiness level of the research from 1 to 3. For the center, we actually take this 3 to higher level up to prototyping actual product development. So that actually can go all the way to actual product and real products before the serial production. Just briefly, what this actually shows you what the center is about. As I told you, the center was established in 2016, about $35 million of funding. We have 13 faculty members from various departments and programs, from material science, mechatronics to manufacturing engineering. We have currently 55 graduate students and 51 postdoc researchers and engineers and technicians. As I told you, we take the research level from technology readiness level from 3 up to 7 and 8 before the production. So we work very heavily on the real applications, but we do the research. So we do the research for real industrial applications. We have about 123.4 million Turkish liras of active projects going on right now. In 2 years, we have 115 papers, 30 patents, and also the center is unique because we have a not only research, but we do also have the engineers, researchers at the center. So that actually gives us that we can work as a certified center. We are the only center in Turkey with the AS9100, which is the aerospace certification. And also we have the ISO 25 with the certification. We can actually have the parts or the research that we develop can actually follow the certain accreditation or the certification. We work with also other international centers such as AMRC, Boeing, TWI in Netherlands, TWI in England, TPRC in Netherlands, BASF, GE Aviation, University of Victoria, South Carolina, McNair Center. So we also a lot of collaboration with the other centers, as well as we work with the industry from the aerospace, automotive, and defense industry. So we work with Roketsan, Boeing, GE, TE, Aselsan, Baykar, Turkish Technic, and defense industries, Temsa, Ford are some of them, but we work most of the companies. When we look at the projects, I mean, I said we have 123.4 million Turkish liras of project are either accepted or are currently active. So in terms of the active projects, we have 57.7 million Turkish liras. As you can see, we work more than, I mean, not only just the TÜBİTAK projects, they are very strong in terms of research, but we also work with the defense and European Union as well as the industry projects. And recently we received about 8 million euro of the funding from the EU to set up the digital manufacturing platform, which actually is based on the additive manufacturing. So we are very heavily on the additive manufacturing, and that actually brings the 64 million funding, liras funding, or 8 million euro funding, and also 1.3 million as expected from the industry. That's in the contract phase. So as you can see, we work more on this EU and in the future industrial projects right now, but obviously we have the other TÜBİTAK projects. In terms of the core research areas, we have 2 areas that we are focused. One is the composite manufacturing. The other one is the additive manufacturing, also called 3D printing or layered manufacturing. So in terms of the composite manufacturing, we work on different like a complex structures that you might see in the aerospace automotive industry, especially for lightweighting and also the improved strength of the materials. And for the additive manufacturing also, we work on real applications that you can find in the jet engines and also in aerospace industry or defense industry. So those are the 2 areas we focus on. And on combination of those, we also work on the digital manufacturing that actually takes the companies to turn them into their transformation, help them companies, especially for the small and medium enterprises, SMEs, to transform them into digital manufacturing, or also called the factories of futures, where we have the less operators, more robotic system and automations. In terms of the research areas, we work on, as I told you, composite design and analysis and manufacturing, modeling. We work on the analysis and design. We have one of the unique robotic-based composite manufacturing, automated manufacturing. It's called automated fire replacement. It's the one of them in Turkey. Thermomechanical stress and fracture analysis, nano micro scale composites, functional polymers, additive manufacturing, both metal and polymer, as well as the composite materials, new materials and new process development for additive manufacturing, functional nanomaterials, health monitoring and composite structures, self-healing of fibers and composite thermoplastic composite materials, and robotic unconventional machining or manufacturing using the robotic systems. These are some of the labs. I will not go through each of them, but in terms of the infrastructure, I believe we are one of the well-established research centers, not only in Turkey, but also globally. So the labs are additive manufacturing laboratory, advanced composite lab, we have autoclave, clean room, as well as the press, and also automated fire replacement, computational mechanics and laboratory, inflammability laboratory, polymer processing, wet chemistry, material characterization and laboratory, as well as the mechanical testing and structural health monitoring laboratory that we have. In terms of the projects, right now we have, besides the industrial projects and defense industry projects, we have from TÜBİTAK and EU total about 15 projects that are looking for PhD and master students. Total about 30. More than 30 students, PhD and master students, are right now funding available for those students. And we have right now application of about 57 million Turkish liras of the project that's actually in application. So I'm hoping that some of them will turn to be positive, and then that will be more projects will coming. So at the end, we might be looking for, with addition of those projects, about 30-40 students, PhD and master students, heavily on the PhD students, but as well as some master students. So if you have any interest on those subjects that I mentioned, the research areas, you are always welcome to talk to, send me email. My email address is on this slide. Or you can visit our website, our center website at suimc.sabancıuniv.edu. Okay, so I will finish here, and I think I will be available if you have any questions from
now. Thanks a lot, Hocam. We would like to thank Professor Bahattin Koç for his talk. Now we have some questions to our professors from our prospective students. So, Hocam, actually, this question is for you. Students are very curious about, like, when they conduct a graduate study in Integrated Manufacturing Technologies Research and Application Center, what would be the advantages for them?
Okay, I would say that, like, I mean, we are very strong as a university. We are very strong in terms of the research. The center is unique in a way that we take the research and find like application. So if you are interested in real applied research, this is the where you would like to work, and especially if you are interested in working in the automotive industry, aerospace industry, as well as the defense industry, then you will see a lot of real applications. And for example, you might be making part that will actually fly with a Boeing airplane, or you might have a part that is going to go into jet engine. So that is the unique advantage working at the center.
Hocam, actually there is one question very related to how you answered it. There's a prospective student asking that, is there a chance for a master degree student to be employed by, for instance, Boeing, after graduating from a master degree in Integrated Manufacturing Technologies Research and Application Center?
Yes, it is possible. We have several hours graduates actually working at the center as an engineer, as a researcher as well. So there's a lot of opportunities working at the center with this dynamic research environment.
Thank you, Hocam. So, Fazilet Hocam, I have one question for you. The students are curious about how they can have a PhD degree, like how can they conduct their PhD while working in Sunum?
They will be enrolled to Sabancı University Graduate School, so there will be students of the engineering faculty there, but they will be conducting all their research under the supervision of Sunum full-time researchers, in collaboration with other technical staff if necessary, and using Sunum's infrastructural facilities. And we would like them to gain further experience in working with contracted research projects in other projects as well while they're doing their PhD, because we believe that it will create a wholesome experience for the students, and they will be exposed to real life situations if that is done.
Hocam, thank you for answering. Actually, one of the students asked a question that you have already answered, but I would like to anyway address it to you. Can we apply to the research centers, or should we apply to graduate programs first and then we apply to research centers?
they will have to apply to the graduate school, because graduate school is the only institution who is eligible for providing postgraduate education. But Sunum is an integral part of the university, so Sunum researchers as supervisors, as potential supervisors, will be involved in the selection process. So they can seek for, if they want to seek for a potential researcher they would like to work with, or select a project that they are interested in, please tell them to contact us so that we can see what their situation is, and we will be completely involved in the selection process with our choices as well.
Thank you, Hocam. Bahattin Hocam, there's a question to you. What are the application differences between Sabancı University Integrated Manufacturing Technologies Research and Application Center and PhD in the faculty, in the Graduate School of Engineering and Natural Sciences?
Similar to what Fazil Hoca actually explained, so the students actually apply to graduate school. There are different programs, so we get students from different programs, but mostly manufacturing, engineering, material science, and mechatronics, but there are other programs, electronics and other computer science or other industrial engineering programs can actually apply. After they apply to our graduate school, then they will be selected, and then either faculty members, they can directly contact the faculty members working at the center, or they can actually be contacted by the center researchers. But they have to apply to our graduate schools, graduate programs, and then and after the process, we have the interviews. But we work with different programs. Manufacturing engineering program is directly related with the center, I would say, but there are other programs that actually they can apply, and then also has a chance to work with the researchers at the center.
Thank you, Hocam. Actually, while you were answering the question, there's a question. I guess you have answered that question, but it is better I ask once again. This is also for Fazilet Hoca. Who should we contact for scholarship? You both answered actually, but anyway.
They can contact Sunum, or they can contact me, and I will refer them to the appropriate principal investigator who is in charge of the project, or they can directly contact the principal investigator and have a chat with him or her before they apply to get more detailed information about the prospective project. Or they can just write to Sunum in general, to the secretary, and the mail will be forwarded to us, whichever they want.
Thank you, Hocam. So we would like to thank our professors for answering our questions and supporting us. And we would like to thank all our attendees for attending this webinar. I wish you all good luck in your applications. You can always ask questions to us. You can ask, if you have any questions regarding your applications, you can always contact Sufan's grad office, or you can look at for further scholarship information. You can go and check out admission.sabancıuniv.edu. So thank you for attending. We wish you good luck.
And thank you again for attending. And if you have any questions, you can always send me an email. I think there is a misspelling, so I should just mention that my email is bahattin.kosinat.ch, so that there should not be any mistake, at sabancıuniv.edu. And thank you for attending, and wish you luck for your application process.
Yes, thank you. I also thank you for participating in this, and I'm very excited to welcome each and every one of you as potential PhD candidates. Please contact us. You'll be surprised.